Good evening and welcome to the August 9th, 2011 Board of Selectmen's meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
I'm glad we're not a bunch of collections.
No appointments this evening? Okay, hearing and delegation.
Well, the Road Review Committee was asked to go over the town of Waterboro equipment rates. The last time it was updated was in 2007. So we got together with the road commissioner to find out just what he wanted for equipment, what the town would want to rent. And then we went out and done some research and got some prices from Shaw Brothers, Gorham Sand and Gravel, Leighton Excavation, Foglio Incorporated. We also went out to like Pike Industries to see what they pay for rentals on their asphalt trucks when they hire trucks. We done Lane Construction, FR Carroll, and a bunch of others to get all the rates. So what we done is we took the highest rates that we found and the lowest rates that we found and kind of come up with a recommended rate. And that's what we put in, and that's what the Road Review Committee would like to recommend as a new updated list for equipment rentals. We done a lot of research with different people, and we checked with Maine DOT, and Maine DOT does not have a set rate. What Maine DOT does, it goes by whichever department it is and whichever region it is, and they negotiate their own rates. So to get a rate for Maine DOT, there's no such thing. As I spent some time up in Augusta, and I talked with 3 or 4 people up there, and they says, no, we don't have that. So this is a list that we come up with. We decided on some of the things like on the excavators and the loaders, and rather than put in a bucket size, because you can take a 18,000 pound excavator, or I should say loader or excavator or anything, and you can swap buckets. You could put a bigger bucket on it. So you would be paying the higher rate for the big bucket, but have a machine that's underpowered. What we kind of done, so we went by, instead of going by bucket size, we went by rates on weights on everything. And if you look down there like excavators, anything over 60,000 pounds, which was something we probably wouldn't use, would be negotiable. That would be up to the road commissioner to go out and negotiate a price. On the list, we found, after I got the list back this morning and started going over it, we found we did miss one thing on there, which is the motor graders. I did have all the rates on it. We just forgot to add it. So the motor grader for a 37,000 pound grader, the highest price would be $165 per hour. The low is about $100 an hour. And I think the Road Review Committee would recommend the $100 an hour.
To your knowledge, does the neighboring towns or other towns in York County use a similar
They do.
system? And if so-
I talked with a couple different towns, and most of theirs, they negotiate everything. They don't have a set list. Yeah, so what they would do is they would have like a high. So if, we'll say, for example, like an 8-yard dump truck is at $55 an hour, they would negotiate with people to try to get their rate down, but they wouldn't go over the 55.
So could we do the same, basically, with your recommended rate, that that is the rate that the road commissioner would be authorized to use in a project, or lower, but not higher without coming to the Board of Selectmen to...
The only thing I see with that would be, if we start going into lower rates or trying to negotiate a lower rate with somebody, do we want quality equipment, or do
Yeah.
we want
Okay.
something that's old and worn out?
Yep.
You know, you might be able to get a 1991 dump truck for, say, $40 an hour. But if he can only make 7 or 8 loads a day, and a good dump truck makes 10 or 12 loads a day, you saved your money right
Okay.
there.
Yep, that makes sense.
And the same thing with excavators. I mean, you can get an older excavator that's all worn out and the hydraulics are low, and it'll take him twice as long to do the work.
Yep.
So we feel the rates that we come up with are very fair. It's fair to the contractor that's doing it. There's a big expense in owning equipment. With the price of diesel fuel going up, the price of rubber is going up, the price of oil has gone up. We think them are very fair prices.
And the other thing to consider with the rates is the company's also providing a driver, so they've got to take out of that rate the driver's salary plus benefits. And if it's a piece of equipment that they have to haul, then there's some expense in transporting that piece of equipment to the job site as well.
Is this something that can be dealt with by putting it on the agenda tonight and voted on? Are people ready to do that, or is this something going to need to go through more process and back it off a week or so?
I think one of the things that we initially discussed just in conversation was that we really haven't had time to sit down and digest all these figures. And we're thinking of putting it on the agenda for next week, after we've had a week to really sift through this before we, so we can make an intelligent decision on it.
Yeah, I know I'm probably going to make as an intelligent decision by these figures I'm going to make next week, because I'm not going to know any more about it next week than I do from getting the recommendation of the Road Review Committee.
And I would be comfortable addressing it this evening because I'm the liaison with the committee, so I was part of the process in coming up with these figures. So, if we wanted to address it tonight, I'm quite comfortable with it as well.
I would prefer to put it on next week. David will be back. I think it's, like to have his input to it. Also like to see it in the packet for at least the upcoming meeting, so. And I might not change my mind from where it is tonight, but I just think that we have somewhat of an obligation that it wasn't on the agenda. If someone wanted to come in and speak for or against this, they're not going to have the opportunity. So in my view, it should be published on next week's agenda in the packet.
I'm in agreement with that. So would either yourself or someone from the Road Review Committee be available next week when we bring this up for a vote, or?
I'm sure we get somebody down here,
Okay.
because my schedule right now is up and down. I don't know where I'm going to be from one day to the next, so.
Another feeling.
Yeah, and if you could get a corrected copy so that we could...
Yeah, I'll get that and get a new copy out to you.
Could you also include the other vendors that you checked with? Because it looks like there's only 4 on here, but you listed,
Right, well, the ones that we listed, like Pike Industries and Lane, the only thing they really, what we done there is, we went to them and asked, what do you pay for a dump truck? Because they lease dump trucks all the time. But as far as equipment, they have their own, so they don't rent it. If they do rent equipment, it wouldn't be by the hour. They'd go on a, like a long-term rental where they'd rent it for a whole season.
are you finding that most of the contractors are going on an hourly, or are they going by the job?
On big jobs, it's usually bidded out. If it's something that you're gonna do in a day or two, then normally they'll go hourly. But if it's a big project that they're gonna do start to finish, they'll usually bid it out.
Okay. So how do they define a big project? More than one day's work, or?
I would say usually they like to have at least a week.
Okay, so a week is a big project, anything under that would be hourly?
Pretty much, I would think.
Anyone from the board have anything?
Sorry.
No one from the board, thank you very much, sir, appreciate it.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that has any business with hearing and delegation that would like to speak here this evening?
Want me to speak now?
If you wish, sir, step right up to the podium and...
We've got done up on, well, the culvert and the riprap is all done on Derigo. I've got a price to reinstall the guardrail. I think that we really ought to get another price. We have all the guardrail and all the fixtures, and the price come in at $1,995 to put the guardrail back up. I think we ought to get another price. We've got barricades up there now. The town's barricades are up there, so I think we ought to do that. I've had some more questions raised about water flow in some of the brooks where they're blocked off. Mrs. Thing spoke to me this morning, and she'd spoken to others before about trying to do something about getting the water to flow rather than stay stagnant because of the dams falling down trees, and the water is getting stagnated and it's just sitting there. There's no flow.
Which particular brook are we talking about?
Well, I call it Hamilton Brook, but I don't know what, when it flows into the mill pond, it's Hamilton Brook, but I don't know when it flows out of the mill pond, what it is. The brook. It's the same brook that needs the trees removed from it up by the medical center. It needs to be cleaned from 202 to Hamilton Road, where there are obstructions in the brook that's causing the water to, flood those people out up there. She told me that back along, somebody had said they were gonna see about getting some inmates from Alfred to come up and get a project started up there. But, so I'm, passing that along. I'd like to see the driveway entrance permits changed so that the people, when they get a driveway entrance permit, I'd like to see us get an inventory of culverts so that we provided the culvert and installed it, and they reimbursed the town for the cost of the culvert. We have a problem on Scooter Way where Patty has a form filled out and signed that the original person who broke the land off had agreed to put in a 15-inch by 30 culvert, but then they didn't do it. They sold it to somebody else, and this person says, well, nobody told me I had to put it in, but, when they created the driveway, the culvert never was installed. So we need to do something to make sure that these culverts get installed, because it's created a dam. The dam has caused the road to deteriorate. It would be, to me, the simplest fix is to do what they do in other communities, is where the applicant pays the town for the cost of the culvert. The town goes up, installs the culvert, puts a load or two of gravel over the top of it, and then they make sure that there's a ditch coming in, a ditch going out, and that the culvert is properly installed. And the homeowner pays the cost of the culvert.
Now, the cost of the culvert, is that inclusive of the cost of the gravel and the number of hours that, or are we
Well,
just charging them for a culvert?
They charge, most of the people the towns that I've worked in, charge for the culvert.
We used to do that, that's what we did.
And, you know, they usually, the whole key to the thing is, Gordon, is while you're up there, I mean, people put a culvert in, they drop it in any way they want. If there's no ditch, they set it on top of the ground. So if the town's got to go up and ditch both sides of it, then they put the culvert in while they're there. And it ensures that the culvert's going to be properly installed when the time for installation is at hand, and it doesn't get just kind of put in halfways. I don't think we should build a driveway, but I think we should make sure that the ditch in and out of the culvert is there, and that the ends are rocked up, and, you know, and put one load of gravel on it so that and then the people go ahead from there.
Is this for single-family resident, or are you talking about a development?
No, this would be for single-family resident.
I think that's,
What controls the driveway permit today? Zoning ordinance, right?
I would imagine so, yeah.
We have a driveway entrance ordinance, as I understand it. It's a standalone ordinance.
Enforceable by the code enforcement officer.
While the code enforcement officer gives the people an application, then the code enforcement officer notifies the road commissioner. The road commissioner goes up and determines what has to be installed for a culvert, and fills out the paperwork, gives it back to the code enforcement officer. The code enforcement officer tells the people, and then you go from there. But things aren't getting done, you know, dig safes are not getting done, whereas if the town did it, you'd make sure that the dig safe was being done, you'd make sure that the culvert was installed properly, and in the long run, we would get the cost of the culvert. What's happening in many cases, people are going up, they'll go around, they'll hunt up a piece of junk culvert, they'll throw it in, and next year the culvert's gone, and they'll call up and say, well, I put the first one in, now you got to put the second one in. Well, if they put the first one in, it ought to be new. It shouldn't be a used piece of pipe. It ought to be a new piece of pipe, and then you go from there.
I'm inclined to think that we might have some more discussion on this, because I can see your point of installing it so that you know that it's done with certain specifications and it's done correctly. But I'm questioning whether or not the town should be subsidizing, driveways for, people that should be part of the construction cost of the home. Are they gonna put their driveway in and,
I'm thinking of two different kinds of culverts. I get a long driveway. Get a culvert down near my house. Town shouldn't be touching that because that's not going to affect the town at all. It's just my driveway. But up at the head of the driveway, where you get a culvert coming under the road, and then there's one right 20 yards down the driveway. If that one blocks up or is improperly put up and it's going to back up onto the road, now the town has an interest in that. So I can see where there's private driveways, there's culverts going across private driveways, but if that is not functioning right, it backs up onto a town road, and now the town has an interest in that culvert. Further down the driveway, they wouldn't. I mean, that's all my problem.
Well, the town it's the town's responsibility to have the ditch cleaned out. In so many places where they're gonna put culverts in, they just drop them in, they don't clean them out, they just drop the ditch in. Then when you go to ditch the road, you find the culvert is 12 inches higher than what it should be because the ditch had sand in it that they never cleaned out. They just flopped the culvert in and went over it. And then they paved their draw yard, like I got on the middle road. I got 2 complaints on the middle road from people who say, well, my driveway culvert's humping, and I want you to come up and repave my driveway. I've got 3 calls from 2 different people on the middle road because they have a hump in the end of their driveway. Well, I went up and looked at it, and the problem is that the culvert is about that far below the pavement. It's gonna hump up, you know,
Who installed those culverts?
I have no idea. But they never cleaned out the ditches before they installed them.
But they want us to repave the town to repave
They want us
the
to take
driveway.
the culvert out, do whatever needs to be done, and then repave the driveway.
See, if it's water coming off a town road, and that water comes down the ditches of the town road and pools, and comes under the person's driveway, then, there's a case to be made, and maybe a case of cooperation between the property owner and the town. But, further down the driveway, if the person just has water running off their land from one portion of the land to the other, and it goes under their driveway, it doesn't affect town roads at all, then, that's the way I look at it. That's a homeowner's problem.
Here's the ordinance, one slim page,
It needs work.
and it's in accordance with Title 30 MRSA subsection 1917, 2151, 2, 2153. There's no date on it. I don't know when it was adopted, but we have this nice 3-part form that goes with it. Costs you $5.
Yeah.
Right? And it just says that it shall be unlawful for any person, firm, or corporation to construct or maintain any driveway, entrance, or approach within or connected to the right-of-way of any town-owned or maintained road or way without first securing a written permit therefore from the road commissioner. Okay? On the application, the commissioner has determined that the design, location, and construction of such driveways, entrances, or approaches on such roads and ways, including provisions for the installation of culverts, if he deems the same to be necessary, will adequately protect and promote safety of the travelway. I think the road commissioner has permission now to require a culvert. That's what this says.
Yeah,
It doesn't say what it is, but it does say that the road commissioner has, before road commissioner signs the permit, right? But it is a little bit ambiguous.
but we got the permit, we're on the right track, we make out a permit, they pay $5, but then, they'll say to you, well, I'm not gonna ditch the road, or I'm not gonna clean out your ditch. They just install it, they just flop the culvert in there, so, it's our ditch, and we want them to put a culvert in it to get onto their property, and that's where the problem comes in. I mean, you should clean the ditch out at least 10 feet or so each side of the inlet and the outlet of the culvert, so that the culvert elevation is properly set and there's cover over the top of it. I mean, we have all the stuff and it works. When they come in to get a building permit or whatever, Patty, gets this, but it's quite simple. It doesn't give anybody a lot of direction.
It does give the road commissioner the authority to require a certain size culvert. It doesn't necessarily say that you gotta do anything other than put the culvert in, right? But
I'd like to say, if we gotta go up there and clean out the ditch, why don't we flop the culvert in? And, if you wanna charge them for one load of gravel, that's fine, but we ought to put the culvert in and make sure that it's properly installed. And in the long run, if we give the citizen present or to-be load or two of gravel, I think it's a pretty inexpensive cost for the longevity of the whole thing. But
To me, like a road review committee, road commission,
Yeah, the
there
gravel,
you go, Roger, you're all set, now there's something to do.
yeah, the gravel itself, I don't think,
you're running
it's
out. You
fairly inexpensive, but we also have, we're paying an individual to truck it up there, we're paying for a truck, we're paying for the fuel on that truck, and I know that there are a considerable number of people in town that, don't want to fund private driveways. They're paying more than they think that they should be paying now. But I certainly see your point, and to back up just one little bit, this was approved by town meeting in March of
okay? So it does say that
1979.
down at the bottom.
It's down at the bottom, so,
But
That culvert will go along with the road review committee traveling workshop, I like that one, to inventory culverts at the next meeting on the 17th, so.
But here we go with these complaints about people have about their culverts, and, if you don't have some kind of this doesn't say that it's got to be inspected and approved before the code enforcement officer issues a occupancy permit. So if somebody throws in a culvert, and during the construction period, they run over the ends of the culvert, they squash it down, and then they say, well, that wasn't my fault, we did what you told us to, and then we squashed it, and, in some cases, you're better off to just go up and clean the ditch out and fill it in and put the culvert in after the construction's done, if it's in the season when that's possible, It's something that needs more review, I guess, talk about it, decide what you want to do.
yeah, I'm kind of in agreement that this leaves something to be desired overall, that was 79, so that's, at least 30 years ago, that this was approved. I think that we can probably refine that to today's standards a little more.
And the issue is, it's outdated, and people that are putting in culverts that are not going to be lasting eventually is going to end up costing the town money, because those culverts will collapse, they won't get cleaned out, and it's going to cause the road around it to erode, and it ends up being a costly endeavor for the town. So we need to make sure that the town and the taxpayers' best interest is represented right up front.
And it's done right the first time.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that means the town going to do it.
No, not necessarily, but I think we need to put some teeth in this ordinance.
Well, the town's got to be up there and clean the ditch anyway. I mean, you got to have a ditch, but a lot of places where people put them in, they say, well, I couldn't see where there's any ditch, so I just flopped the culvert on top of the ground. So, I mean, you got to go up.
I just pulled it up and just Googled it for highway entrance permits with Maine. Bethel's was the first one that came up. Very specific. This says responsibilities of the parties performing the work. And it goes right through exactly what they're responsible to do, even patching the top of the culvert if it with hot bituminous, if in fact that's the requirement. So I think ours, now that it's somewhat dated, probably.
I mean, I just bring this up because I'm sure that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of wheels rolling out there. Somebody's probably got an ordinance all written that would fit our bill quite well. I spoke to Gordon yesterday about the West Road, and I spoke to Nancy today about sending an email herself. Something has got to be done about that concrete bridge culvert at the junction of the West Road and Federal Street. There is at least 12 inches of free flow underneath the supporting walls, and up on the top, on the southeasterly side of the West Road, I guess you'd call it, or the southerly side of the West Road, there is a hole where in front of the guardrail, at least 18 inches where the pavement is caved in front of the guardrail. And if we get a school bus coming up through there and somebody with a small car going down through there and they pull over for a big truck or a school bus, or the number of buses there are, the pavement is literally falling in. and a small car tire go in there, and it's gonna throw them people right into that guardrail. It's gone beyond, needing to be looked at. It's a serious problem. And on the easterly side of that culvert, that's on the westerly side, I guess, of the south side of the culvert. And on the easterly side, if you look, the erosion is eroded so that it's undermining the pavement on that side. But when you look at the abutments, there's at least that much room where the water is flowing on both sides under the abutments. Pump that pond down, put a form in there, and run some loose concrete in underneath that abutment, and it would do a tremendous amount to save the longevity of that bridge. The same thing as it would have done if we'd have done it 5 years ago over on Mass Camp Road. If you'd have poured something to support the bridge, but you've got 10 feet of bridge that the walls and the head walls on the end is all that's holding up that bridge. And sooner or later, something's gonna happen. I mean, you're gonna come down through there, we come down through there with a tractor trailer with a crusher on it, 150,000 pounds, and that goes through there. It's not gonna be pretty. And I mean, you've got Pepin, you've got Genest, Frankie Carroll, for some, you got oodly boodle of logging trucks coming down through there. You got school buses with kids on them.
How many logging trucks?
Oogly boogles. That's a lot. That's about like the national debt. And, if that bridge goes out, we have a very serious problem, because, there's no easy way to negotiate from South Waterboro up there. Sand crossing never got fixed. It means you gotta go to Alfred and come back around, or go to Limerick, or, just no easy way to get to Ross Corner.
That's the truth.
That's a serious problem.
Now, Fred already contacted the state on that issue, correct?
The state know it's a problem,
So,
but they keep moving it, moving it further because they find another bridge that is.
Then I suggest that we send an email to John Courtney and, what's his name up there in Newfield? What's that?
Libby.
Libby, and, as many of these different people as we can, and tell them that we have a very serious problem, because, you look at our fire services, say nothing about our road services, our fire services would delay by a long period of time any type of activity if this bridge gives way. And you really owe it to yourself just to go over and crawl down the bottom and take a look at it, because you would see, it takes no rocket scientist to see that concrete's hanging in midair.
If we send pictures along with it too, that would help.
You'll have to get your photographer to your left, the man with the good camera. I
will take the pictures for you to forward.
I even took a picture on my phone the other day. Quite
you
amazing.
figured that out?
Yeah, I did. Pressed a button. It was an accident. It was of my own foot.
So you are trainable.
We've been up working on Scootaway, and we're gonna fix that and take care of that quite serious drainage problem, and the fellow up there has agreed to buy the culvert. So that's all taken care of, and the multi-plate for East Waterboro is here, but we've got these other two projects going. The transmission in the tractor has, we got an estimate on that of about $8,200 to fix that. It now moves in first gear only, under its own power. It will travel from me to Dennis and back again, but no great distance. Second gear, it won't move, so. They believe that it is the converter. The pump pressures are good, but the converter's not pumping any oil into the transmission. The clutch pressures are all right, but they've been slipping because of the lack of flow from the computer, from the converter. So that has to go into CAT and be fixed, or sold, or traded, or junked, or whatever you want to do with it. That's your decision. It's beyond the point where we can't use it.
Is the tractor worth the expense of Or is that,
Oh,
your guess is as good as mine type of thing?
the tractor's got, you know, a substantial amount of rust on it. It's definitely worth fixing. I mean, you know, it's usable, you know. But I guess at this point, we're kind of, you know, my feelings that I wanted to see us, you know, keep that. I didn't anticipate a big expense, but I talked to Clint the other day, and I said, Clint, if you're gonna get it, you're gonna pay for it. If we're gonna keep it, we'll pay for it. So Clint said he didn't have any money to fix it, and I said, neither do I. So here we go, you know? But, you know,
I think we don't have a real choice here. I think, you know, one way or the other, we had kind of committed that this was going to be paid off this month, and we were going to keep it and go do something else. But I think we got to get it fixed, and I guess if push comes to shove on the other one, maybe we forego getting anything until we got our ducks in a row here, and if we got to put some money into the other one so that Clint can use the other one, then I think we're going to have to do that. But
well, you know, I just, you know, the summer's weaning along here. And if, you know, if it's the thoughts of you guys, ladies and gentlemen, you know, that we just let Clint have this one, fix it, and then get a new rubber tire tractor, and, you know, next year we try for something for a small excavator, I guess I can live with that. I don't, you know, I'm just, at this point, you know, we're into August, and,
got to be fixed.
it's gotta be fixed. Whatever you do, it's gotta be fixed. If you trade it tomorrow, they're just gonna take off, if you traded it for a new one, they're gonna take off the cost of fixing it off the trade price. So you fix it, and,
If we traded it tomorrow, we still got one tractor. So,
When we did the budget this year, we created a fund that was for emergency repairs of town assets. And I believe we budgeted $10,000 into that account. Is this,
That was for like if a boiler or something went,
I mean, this is a town asset.
I would say, I don't know, it's a stretch, because it was mostly so if a boiler went or roof repair, that was what it was for. But with this, the tractor's paid for this month. And, you know, you still budgeted that lease payment every month.
right.
So if you don't get it for a month, you can use some of that to.
Yeah, even if
Pay for it.
we delay doing another piece of equipment by 2 or 3 months, I think you got the funding to take care of this problem, right?
well,
So, I mean, got to be fixed, so.
I realize that, just, you know, whereas,
So my suggestion would be, let's go get it fixed, and we'll have to sort out what we're gonna do when all's said and done. We've had some of that discussion, and if this puts us back in good stead with this one, and it's got certainly some life left in it, then I guess we make the decision, do we move forward with the original plan, or do we wait and refigure what we're gonna do? I mean, the bottom line is that sooner or later, you know, Clint's gonna have to have something, whether it's having this one go down and do the work, or use I guess you run the other one until it dies, but I think that was somewhat close based on the last conversations that we had, but
How much work can you do down there with that Bobcat?
Well, you can use it some, but it's hard to push all, like the brush and everything, to pick it up and get it up high enough. Like the metal, and plowing snow, it takes forever.
plus, you know, I'm not sure that we need to figure out this end solution other than tonight, but I think we need to we now know we got a problem. The tractor only moves from me to you, as you said, so let's go get it fixed.
Well, we can use it, pull brush out of the trucks, and that's it. I mean, you get down over the hill, got to put it in first gear to get back to the garage, and so we haven't used it for anything else, but we have a bunch of things, and I think we ought to have a workshop that we could sit down and just, you know, discuss these and some other issues that we have, okay? And I hope we do something pretty soon about the paving, because Derigo Drive is gonna have to be repaved. And we're gonna have some culvert patching, quite a lot of that to do, and I wanna know where to buy the hot top. And I talked to Fairfield.
Come in and see me tomorrow, and then we'll figure out, I need to know how much, what you need it for, how much paving you need.
How much you think we're gonna use, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's X amount of dollars for paving, right?
Yep,
So,
We're gonna use the dollars that we got. It's a question of where we're gonna use them.
right.
so the question is how do you present that to the 2 or 3 guys that provide the service, and who's gonna give you the best tonnage or best price for laying a ton, right? So,
Are you gonna leave that up to Nancy's decision?
well, I
That's
think-
what you said last,
I
that's what
think-
you
I
said
think-
last
I
week.
think if you and her get together and ultimately make a determination of if we can get 10% more done by one guy than the other, then that's probably the guy that we ought to go with. If we need to ratify that decision, then we bring it to the board and we ratify the decision, right? It's an up and down for us. I don't think we should get into a debate of, well, you know, I like this
If
guy
I'm not
better than
mistaken,
that
at our
guy.
last meeting,
Huh?
we'd said that
That's right.
the two of them would
Right.
get together, so I don't think we need to ratify anything. I think they just need to get together and do
Well,
it.
that's what I got out of the meeting, but Nancy wasn't here last week to
What's
be a
that,
part of that conversation.
Larry the Cable Guy says, get her done?
Get her done.
Yeah.
Okay. And I talked to Howard Fairfield yesterday morning. Our truck is in Connecticut being painted. It is completely assembled, and they've got to, you know, put the mud flaps on it and all it is.
Couldn't paint it in Maine?
Well, I took it to Concord to have the, Skowhegan, Concord's actually closer than Skowhegan. And Skowhegan was booked. It would have taken us another 4 to 6 weeks to get the truck put together. Concord could do it, and their paint shop's in Connecticut, so they load it right onto a ramp truck and take it down there, and I didn't care what they did with it, you know? And he said if it worked out, they'd bring it back, but, or we'll go to Concord and pick it up. But he thought that Thursday or Friday of this week, the truck would be ready for delivery.
And I need the amounts of what's going to go to Fairfield and where's,
I gave it, yes, okay. I'll
Yeah.
ask him to
The
send me
lease-
another copy of that.
usually the lease company sends the checks directly. This time they didn't, they made out one check to the town, so we have to.
So we sent the paperwork to them telling how much money had to go to each place. And, of course, I have a copy of it somewheres.
Look on your dashboard, it might be in your filing.
Maybe. I've cleaned out my filing cabinet. I don't think I had too much else. Did you people look over the picture? Did you guys get the pictures that Jim put on the internet about the new dam road? After the road review committee went up and looked at them, with the proposed
I
drainage?
think he just sent it to road review committee.
Okay. Well, I just wondered if anybody looked at it, if they had any questions, because the road's all painted out about
Yeah,
what
I
was.
saw that, I drove up there
Yeah.
and saw it.
And so the road review committee was in favor of it, and last night they asked me when we was gonna get it done, so. Anybody got any other questions?
To get back to your repairs that we have to do down there,
Yes. We
still
lost
have-
our money.
There's $6,000 still left in the IRP,
Oh, there is? Okay.
and we're going to have, where do we appropriate, 71 or 72,000
That was
this year?
71.
71, and we're gonna be getting a little over 80,000 this year.
You're all familiar with this, putting a floor in the garage. We have Nancy has some mandates from the insurance company that we had to do down there. One of them should have been that we don't have to crawl around on the door with rats, raccoons, skunks, snakes, and otherwise helping us do the repairs. So we've got the garage all cleaned out. We're ready to do the lip. We need to get some insulation, styrofoam, and put it around the edge. And then I've gotten 2 prices on flooring the floor. Mr. Guzzo gave us the best price on doing the floor, and I went to Buddy to get price on the garage door. He brought in another guy. This is a guy that did the overhead garage doors in the station over here and in South Station. He's given us a price on installing the only thing we can put up there is a roll-up door because of the slope proof. So I've got those prices, and I've discussed this all with Nancy, so does
And
anybody
that
have any questions?
That door has needed to be replaced for a long time. It's only been,
And you said the other door too, and they're gonna give me a price on that one, but it's gonna be
Yeah.
expensive.
there's some boards, and we got the same thing down on the old Alfred Road with the salt shed down there.
So do you have any questions? Thank you very much. Roger, you're all set. Thank you.
No, you ain't.
I'm not. Is there anyone else that has anything that they'd care to discuss under hearing and delegation? Okay, seeing no one, we will move on to the town administrator's report.
All right, trying to get caught up. The dam repairs, I sent out a notice to you last week that they could have done it this week, but they had preferred to wait until the fall when the water is down. If the board is okay with that, because the water starts, what, October 15th?
Just around the corner.
Here it is. Well, it's earlier down there, but just, the interviews are set up for Saturday. I contacted everybody, and I've contacted tonight, the afternoon on via telephone, and I have confirmed 5. I'm still waiting to hear back from 2. I couldn't get a hold of them. And another thing I just want to point out in the minutes last week about the sidewalk plowing bid, I did not put that on the agenda.
No, I put it on the agenda.
Oh, okay, well, it kind of looked like I had presented it on what to do with it, but no, I didn't. I would assume that it was going to go out to bid, so. And I would wait until September, because the current contract expires in October.
Why do we have to wait until the last minute to go out to bid? Why can't we plan it beforehand, get it done, so that it just flows seamlessly right into the next one?
We can do that, but the contract's not going to be
No, it
available
won't
until
be.
November 1st.
Yeah, it will go into effect November 1st, but we'll at least have everything in play right now.
Okay, if you want to do it now, I don't care. If you want to have somebody bid on the price they're not going to do for 2 months.
Well, ultimately, the only time they're gonna work is when there's
When it
snow, right?
snows.
So, it would be, the bid
But you
should say that...
can't, you can't sign a new contract until the other one comes over on
Understand,
November
but you should
1st.
say the new contract will be effective on such and such a date.
All right, that's it.
Oh, you have, that's it, okay. Selectmen's report? I believe you have something?
Couple things. First of all, Road Review Committee met last evening, and they worked on the equipment rates that were presented earlier this evening by the chairman of the Road Review Committee. Next week, they are going to be having a meeting on Wednesday, and they're going to be starting the process of inventorying all of the town culverts and catch basins. And what the intent is, they want to identify the location of all of them using a GPS, and also landmarks near CMP poles such and such, or 1 mile from wherever, so that in the future, when you're looking for culverts, you have an idea of where they are. Same with the catch basins, and while they're out doing that, they're also going to try to determine what the condition of each one of the culverts are, so they can start planning on how how things are going to need to be replaced, and maybe look at budgeting in the future for that. So they've got that project, and I think they figure that's probably going to take them 2 to 3 months. So they're already starting to look at CIP. They're putting together a work plan for roads, and out of that work plan will come their CIP. So it's great that they're starting that early, so they'll have plenty of time to make sure that they produce a quality CIP for the town. The other thing I wanted to report on tonight was some activity that's happening with the Waterboro Land Trust. Even though the Land Trust is not a town committee, it's its own nonprofit entity, the town did deed some land to the Land Trust, and the Land Trust assured that they'd be keeping those properties open for the residents of Waterboro to use, and that certainly is what they're doing. Some exciting things happening with some of these parcels of property. The first one is Fay Park, which is off of Weber Road, Logan Circle area. People will know that formally as the Pines. They did a lot of cleanup work. They've laid some stone dust down on some of the walking trails, put some picnic tables in, there's porta potties. They've hired somebody to take care of the trash cleanup on a regular basis. And they're going to be working with the Lake Association and the Maine Soil and Water Conservation Commission to address an erosion issue that's been located. It's where there used to be a dock in many years ago, so there's going to be putting in for some permitting to fix that. So that's a very beautiful piece of property. A lot of people have been going down and utilizing it, and invite anybody down there that hasn't been down there for a while. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. The Waterboro Land Trust has also created a dog park on Federal Street. As you're coming from the West Road, it's about a mile or so down on the right-hand side. They did put up signage, however, within 24 hours, all the signage was stolen. So we're going to be creating some heavy-duty signs that won't disappear so easily. But the property is all fenced in, and it's been left in as much of a natural state as possible. There's plenty of hills and romping around. The Alfred Waterboro Veterinary Clinic donated some dispensers for doggy waste bags. So those are going to be installed and available pretty quick. And if you utilize them, it's kind of what you haul in, you haul out. The other project that's going to be really exciting to work on, and I think residents are really going to enjoy this, is the Ospey Mountain property. That's 70 acres up there. The property was recently surveyed, and it's going to be utilized as a snow park with seasonal hiking trails. And what the Land Trust did was we applied for work assistance from the Maine Conservation Corp, and the Conservation Corp has agreed to do 5 days at a cost. It's a 6-person team that comes out. They build trails, bridges. They will help with GPSing, identifying plant life, putting in railing, making sure the trails are handicap accessible. And they are so enthused about this project that the Land Trust will be paying for 5 days of work, and we're actually getting 9 days out of the Conservation Corp. So they're giving us 4 days pro bono work. We just found that out this week, so that's very exciting that they're going to be doing that work with us. It's going to start with a trail planner coming out and helping to develop where the trails are going to be, and then that team coming in and doing the 9 days of helping to build those trails. So I think Waterboro residents are really going to enjoy that parcel of property year-round once everything is done. It's definitely a project that's going to take a couple of years, but certainly by early winter we should have the hiking trails in, so by next spring all the hiking trails should be opened up. So very small group of folks, but very dedicated and doing a lot of great work.
Did I hear you say cross-country skiing in there too?
The intent is to have 3 different slopes. One will be for downhill skiing, one for snowboarding, and one for snow tubes.
Anything else to report on?
To say, you get the word out there, I think there's people out there that are willing to put some labor in, you know. I mean, that's kind of fun. That's a fun 3 or 4 hours to go up and work with a group or building trail.
Yep. What's great about the Maine Conservation Corp is all of these folks are trained on how to build trails. And they encourage organizations that they're working with to get volunteers, and then this group of 6 will help train the volunteers that come in
That's great.
on how to build trails. They'll even help teach the organization how to solicit volunteers. And the money that's paying for the Conservation Corp to come out and do the work, the materials and whatnot, will come from the money that the land trust has gotten from the tower lease. We said that we would put that money back into the property, and that's certainly what we're doing there, plus we'll be getting donations from some local
I
businesses.
just know, you know, that personally I'd be happy to put in some sweat equity there.
Awesome.
Let me know.
Anything else on the selectmen? You have anything, John? No? Dennis?
I'm all set.
I do have one other item, if I could get somebody to switch off the lights.
That's my job, David.
Last week, John mentioned a training exercise that he participated in, and this was a multi-jurisdictional fire training exercise where they had a control burn on a house on Ossipee Hill Road. And through the courtesy of 2 local residents, Crystal Lord and Patty Blaisdell, I have some photos here. I didn't select them all because there was a whole CD full, but I tried to pick out some that would show, you know, what they did and some of the circumstances under which they had to operate. It's also, as an aside, will show you what it would possibly be like if you were to be in a residence that caught on fire, the amount of smoke that's generated, and then the amount of flame that's generated in the interior of the building. So if you'd, this was, like I say, a joint effort between the Waterboro Fire Department, the Ross Corner Fire Company, Limerick, and Alfred Fire Departments. And as you can see, this is what the house, this kind of gives you an overview. This is when it was burning. I think that's Waterboro Junior Firefighter there. But,
I thought that was Matt.
that is, and that's the end result. But now we'll get into some photos courtesy of Patty, and this is actually the firefighters, you know, gearing up and moving in on the building. And there is our own John Gale in his regalia. This is the extent of the smoke that you see, you know, pouring out the window. So you can just imagine how difficult a time you would have if you were inside that building, caught in there when this was burning. As I understand it from John, and he can probably be a little more eloquent than I can on this, but it was, from my understanding, it was totally pitch black in there, and
You can see a hand here.
now comes the added component of the fire along with the smoke. I think a lot of these pictures are self-explanatory. They really don't need any narration.
This was the final stage here. All the training had been done before they really set the whole building on fire. The rest of it was totally controlled, where you had straw in a bed inside the house, and they'd set the straw on fire, get the smoke going, and the fire going, and get a team to go in and not only put the fire out, but they learned to use the nozzle with a fine spray that they could blow the smoke out a window, and it would clear out the room, so you could see in there to fight the fire. So that was all done under very controlled situations. This was the very